This grandfather doesn't need company for his morning exercises. Without reminders and assistance on a daily basis, he does 15 sit-ups. This brave old man's neighbors call him Perpetual. My name is Arqueo Aguilera. I'm 101. Arqueo Aguilera was born on January 1st, 1913. During his long life, he has had several professions. In his youth, Arqueo was seriously engaged in boxing. The first job of 9th-grader Aguilera was a bouncer in a cabaret. I like to fight. However, the last time I did it somewhere, I was 26 years. But I have the strength to drive a nail or a hook into a wall. Do you want to see? The 100-year-old man has childhood characterized by good health. He continued to work in the office until his 85th birthday. He still does not tolerate long silence and loneliness. I get up at 7 a.m., breakfast at 7:30, go out on the porch, walk along the neighborhood, get in touch with my friends. Then I come home and watch TV. I love football, ready to discuss it for hours. Of course, sometimes I get bored. Then again, I go back to the street to talk to some beautiful girl. Girls are the best cure for aging.
Looking at Arqueo, you can see this man has super genes. Even at 100 years, he looks like 30 years younger. And it's not only his appearance, it's the way he behaves. How he responds to people, the way he's joking.
A sense of humor among old-timers is a certificate of good state of neural connections, and is the reason for a short study as part of our program. We have already carried out a similar test in the Russian North Caucasus, Kabardino-Balkaria.
Messer Khan, now we will try to have you perform a little test. Please fold this piece of paper in half with one hand.
With age, the human brain loses its ability to quickly adapt to new conditions. Unusual tasks literally put it in a standstill. 108-year-old Misrhan Chichanova has passed the elementary test with visible effort. Thank you so much. You did so well. Excellent. Arqueo Aguilera is younger than the Caucasian senior by 7 years. Will he be able to fulfill this basic exercise at first glance? With one hand?
The test with a piece of paper evaluates several parameters. The way a person understands the job, how your algorithm is disrupted by performing this task, and how carefully he tries to execute it. In our case, Arqueo folded the piece of paper in 1 second when he realized what we wanted from him, without even thinking if it'd be neat or not.
Negligence in the performance of the test alarmed the scientist from Moscow. The expert simplified the next job. She asked the man to sign his name. Again, the centenarian did not immediately understand what was required of him.
Attention is drawn to the confusion in the understanding of the tasks that we gave him. And if you do look deeper, in my opinion, he has begun to show the first signs of dementia. But now the signs, of course, are only slightly manifested. But this is the environment in which he is surrounded. How he is taking care of his children, of course, gives him the opportunity to express himself as much as possible in the physical state in which he is located.
Arqueo Aguilera spends his days in the house of his younger daughter. It's hard to believe that this beautiful lady has turned 70. The pensioner's grandchildren and great-grandchildren come to visit him as often as they can. But to do it now is difficult. The younger Aguilera generation of family are now living in the United States. Young people tend to leave the country. The only son of this woman moved to Sweden in 2000. Her husband died more than 40 years ago. Therefore, evenings and weekends, the elder lady keeps absolutely alone.
My name is Delia Calavero. I was born in 1913. In December, I will be 102.
Delia Calavera is a native to Havana. An editor by profession, she is a real representative of the Cuban intelligentsia. The day after her 100th birthday, Delia went to a theater performance.
I really like the music, the atmosphere. My husband and I used to go every week to the theater. You know, I used to be involved in the performances.
Today, Delia's daily life deals not only with managing everyday issues. The grandmother spends most of it in a special place.
In this unusual institution, the elderly woman is accompanied by a social worker.
They were replaced by the so-called kindergartens for the elderly. The closest one is a kilometer away from Delia's home. Close accessibility is one of the basic principles of these institutions.
I come here at 8 a.m. and I leave in the evening. I like to be here. I have many friends. To be honest, I do not need it a lot. I am always happy, and here I am very happy.
The first house of grandparents appeared in Havana in the late 90s of the last century. A network of 74 similar centers covers the modern Cuban capital. The youngest participants in the program are 65 years old. An upper age limit does not exist. The only condition? The elderly person must be healthy.
Every day, 60 to 70 elders come here, and the house holds up to 80 people.
Not everyone comes here. Some because of illness or because relatives just don't bring them.
And how old is your most elderly visitor? We have a woman who has turned 105 years old. She is, by the way, a very enthusiastic and cheerful person. This grandmother is pleased to participate in all our trainings and events.
The main task of these centers is to prevent people from being alone in old age. A busy schedule awaits every visitor. It includes regular visits to primary care physicians and geriatric specialists. 4 meals high in fruits and vegetables. Training for memory and mental abilities. Lessons in needlework. And that's not all of the methods of anti-aging, which local gerontologists used.
Wow, they also have dancing? Yes, dancing. A great therapy. Firstly, it is a physical exercise. Second, it is a good way of emotional unloading and to uplift your mood. Dancing has beneficial effect on cognitive abilities. They do not let the brain ossify.
For Cubans, dance is in the blood. No holiday in the country is complete without dance processions. With an average salary of $15 and the absence of full-fledged entertainment, dance is one of the most affordable and popular ways of spending time. Cuban gerontologists consider these rhythmic movements to be exercise for the brain. Recent global studies confirm that regular exercise really makes us younger.
In our institute at MIPT, a professor, Yenikolopov, conducted an experiment on mice. One group was put in a squirrel cage so that they could run whenever they wanted to. A second control group did not do anything. As a result, in the group that led a more active lifestyle, the number of new neurons increased.
Moderate exercise spurs the birth of nerve cells in the brain. Scientists cannot yet explain this surprising fact. One can train their brain to deal with dementia in other ways. For example, by using intellectual games.
I'm not a dancer anymore now. I'm better with dominoes. I'm playing everything, and chess and checkers, but dominoes, that's my strong point. There I know my business. Generally, I gamble and I'm hard to beat. That she gambles once again confirms that she is in an active mental state. Well, I think it's phenomenal for her age. She vividly reacts to everything that happens, and the response to events is almost instantaneous.
Despite having extreme age, Delia Calavero manages to keep an amazing clarity of thinking, good spirits, and a craving to communicate. Because of these qualities, the pensioner looks younger than her years.
I think she's very beautiful, and she has inner beauty that really gives a person some youth and some sort of wisdom that you cannot help but notice when you talk to her. The most important thing in life is love. I love life, and I'm not seeking for death. I'm always in a good mood. I have a very light character. I always smile.
Easy living and optimism is inherent in many Cubans. The Happy Planet Index ranks Liberty Island consistently high. Now Cuba is among the 12 happiest countries in the world. The leader is neighboring Costa Rica, another country with a high concentration of centenarians. I think that before, the Cubans had suffered a lot, so now we are incorrigible optimists. We are really happy when there is something good. The main thing, there is nothing in life to be afraid of, and to treat trouble with humor. I am sure that someone who jokes lives much longer. Joyfulness, physical activity, strong social ties. Each of these factors gives the Cuban pensioners extra years of life. What else do Liberty Island old-timers have in common? To find out, there is a large-scale research program, CITE. Its purpose, to study all Cuban centenarians.
My name is Ludmila Orez Fernandez. I manage the CITE project Aging Control Department. I'm 42.
The National CITE program started in 2004. Gerontologist Ludmila Fernandez has participated in the project since the early days.
We are studying all centenarians in terms of physical state, mental health, their social characteristics, and medical care. Another task is to try to get closer to the ideal model of aging. Because the people who have extended their lives as such, they are in fact examples to follow.
According to CITE statistics, for the last 5 years, the number of centenarians in Cuba has increased twice. Now, for every 100,000 Cubans, there are 32 super pensioners. This fantastic result is second only to the world record holder, Japan. However, CITE's results aren't 100%, as only half of the surveyed candidates could prove their age. On the basis of their histories, scientists have made a bold assumption.
We can assume that most of the centenarians do not suffer from chronic diseases. A low prevalence of cancer was identified, approximately 4.3%. Among centenarians is a very small percentage of diabetics, around 6%. Fewer still are suffering from Parkinson's disease, only 2%. Why do they not suffer from these serious diseases? I think that there is a very strong genetic component. There are also features of the environment. For example, a low prevalence of toxic food has been identified. That is, if they have a healthy lifestyle which is conducive to reducing the possibility of occurrence of chronic diseases. There is another important point: the reaction of these people to the problems of everyday life. We had a low level of stress, high resistance to stress.
Reaction to stress is individual and variable. As a rule, with age, psychological defense mechanisms become weaker. Many older people are irritable and vulnerable. They are quick to focus on the most minor problems. This excess backlash adversely affects the entire body.
If, for example, you tease a child about something or hit them, they will cry and feel the pain as much as the direct impact of pain on their body. And if it is an older child or an adult, he will feel and experience the pain much more, because he will be including mechanisms of psychological stress response. The more we worry about the stress, the longer it takes for us and continues, at least for ourselves. And in the end, it leads to a depletion of the body's resources and progresses diseases.
The Experience Project, the Centenarians' Rules of Life, shows most centenarians have increased stress tolerance. And Cuba is no exception. At 21, Arsenio Palacio became the main breadwinner in the family. After the death of his father, the care for his mother and 9 younger brothers lay on his shoulders. This happened in 1932. My name is Arsenio Palacio. I'm 103 years old and 2 months. The village of Vinales is a quiet place in the northwest of the country. Its first inhabitants in 1878 became tobacco planters. Modern Vinales is part of the agricultural region which produces almost 70% of all Cuban tobacco. Like most villagers, Arsenio, from an early age, grew the raw materials for the famous Cuban cigars. Life was hard because it was in the field. And the field is hard. It's very hard to maintain. We need to work very hard. One should always get up before dark to put the time to good use. I cannot say that I was often nervous. Money was often not enough even for food, yes? But I've always believed in the best. Faith and willpower, the best assistance. It is interesting that for all the decades engaged in tobacco, the grandfather never smoked a cigar. And his one cigarette, a 103-year-old will remember his whole life. I smoked just one cigarette as a child. I was beaten hard for it. My father beat me, and I quit smoking forever. Rum I also almost never drink. Well, maybe once a year for my birthday. Almost all my relatives have died early. I always thought that I would follow in their footsteps. And when I reached 90, I said to myself, all is well. I'm going to live as I want. The centenarian's mother died when he was not even 30. Over time, 7 of 9 brothers passed away. Arsenio's only wife died in 1991. Despite the severe shocks, the veteran demonstrates tranquility, discretion, and peace of mind. But what is this true psychological state? A special test for depression can clarify this situation. Was your life ever empty and meaningless? I think there were always enough worries and joys. Do you often feel sad? Oh no, no way. I am a very cheerful and happy person. Do you often worry or are anticipating something bad? Oh, concern has always been in my life, and there is now. But I have them eliminated. Have you ever felt left out, abandoned? No, never. A series of 30 questions that assess psychological state is a standard site gerontology project profile. Interpretation of the results will allow experts to conclude that the long-lived of analysis are far from apathy and melancholy. On a scale of 15 points, Arsenio scored 5. This means that he does not have depression, which is very typical of centenarians. The fact that the reaction mechanisms of longevity are not normal. He's different. If contact with tragic events occurs, accident or death of a family member, it is as if our life stops, and it takes a lot of time and effort to start it again, back in the pre-crisis state. With him, it's otherwise. We have to be calm, to believe in the best, and not sit idle. But the main thing is to think on what you're doing, and then everything will turn out. I still do not like to sit around. A busy man is always there. I fold clothes, I clean the house, I even polish shoes. Another characteristic feature of Cuban centenarians is autonomy. Even in their extreme age, they tend to care for themselves independently. The next stage of the research is dedicated to checking the physical form of an old-timer. There is a notion of fragility in geriatrics. This state of the body which has no more resources to overcome the stress. In this position, the person may lose the ability to work, get sick, or die. One of the signs of fragility are weight loss and physical impotence. With this instrument, I measure the compressive force of your hands. First the right, lower the hand, and squeeze it as hard as you can. Harder, harder. Can you see? 22 kilograms. And now with the left hand. Let's go. Strange. The left hand is stronger than the right. This fact has a simple explanation. The man was left-handed. But how to explain the surprising results of the old-timer? His performance on the dynamometer, the rate for a 60-year-old man.
The genomes of a 100-year-old person is not very different from the genomes of the common people. But some studies show that there are some positive mutations in these people, and these mutations belong to the genes responsible for maintaining bone, muscle, insensitivity to pain, lack of susceptibility to viruses, and so on. All of these genes ultimately result in increased stress resistance of the organism.
mental and physical condition of old-timers does not cause them fears. Like other old-timers, Arsenio is under medical supervision. In addition to the local clinic, every Cuban home has a family doctor on watch, who lives next door. These specialists work 24/7. Affordable medicine, the pride of Liberty Island. Of the 11 million Cubans, 800,000 are working in the health system.
Most importantly, we have created a special program of care for the elderly. It is standardized for the whole country, not only for the capital. Even the most complex operations are conducted in a timely manner and free of charge. At least once a year, regardless of age and health, all pensioners are checked. And this is very important because the medical examination and preventative maintenance ensures the prevention of more serious consequences.
This medical center is located to the east of Havana. Its main patients are persons older than 60. Today, they are running a scheduled scan of Elvira Hernandez. At receiving, the Senora came and accompanied by her youngest son, Rafael. This veteran of the Cuban intelligence services recently turned 63 years old. He was born when his mother was 40 years old.
Good afternoon, Elvira Quintero. Come in. My name is Elvira Hernandez Quintero. I am 103.
Senora Hernandez is not an average Cuban. Her husband held an important position in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
My husband was in charge of external relations. He had a solid connection. We were often invited to various meetings. I remember very well one evening at the Czech ambassadors. They gathered all of the knights of a revolution. And Che Guevara abused them like they were children, like boys, because they had come in shirts. On a visit to the ambassador, one has to go sharply dressed, Che shouted. In general, he was a very, very nice young man.
Due to the high position of the head of Hernandez's family, they never experienced financial problems. The main mission for the future long liver became housekeeping. She is the mother of 3 children. Her grandchildren are scattered all over the world, from Canada to Poland.
My life, it is the people who surround me. My children, my grandchildren, my children's wife, and friends. Think, what is the point of living if I were alone? I'd felt like junk or something like that.
Serious emotional overload has bypassed the pensioner's side. The main stress factor for the organism has become a common one in Cuban habit. Elvira Hernandez smoked for about 70 years. Despite the dangerous passion, the woman kept good health. Her medical records show no chronic diseases. Another medical examination revealed no serious pathologies. Stable heartbeat rate, heart congestion is observed, no hypertrophy. This is all very good. As you smoked, there was a slight change in your lungs, but I think if you take care of yourself, you will definitely live for more than a year. Way to go, Senor Hernandez.
Caring for the elderly is built, first and foremost, with the banal proactive monitoring of all old people. I think that such a system in the first place, of course, can be implemented with free medicine, which allows everyone placed in the same conditions. That is, both at state level, the status of old people rises, then what activities are carried out to ensure that they feel necessary, useful, and intact in a physical or mental level, leads to the fact that they have completely different status in their families. They respect and care for them. This set-off measures practically pulls people out of decay and aging and gives them the years of active longevity.
Elvira Hernandez escaped from nicotine addiction by the insistence of doctors. For 13 years, she has had a completely healthy lifestyle. Still, the main component for this grandmother's longevity is mental health.
Never do anything bad in life. Help all those you can. Give help to those who need it. Those handling things badly, on the contrary, to please those you care about. You are young, have children, so then it'll be someone to fight for, and have a desire to live to see them grow, to see how they rise and come forward. This is the most important thing in life.
Our scientific trip to Liberty Island has come to an end. It's time to wrap up this installment of our expedition, the Centenarians' Rules of Life.
Everyone wants to live a long time, and from the results of our trip, we can say that the most important facet is a positive attitude, because ultimately it determines our physiological process in the body. Another important rule is the preservation of physical activity. This can be either physical education, it can be a game, it could be dancing, it could be singing, anything that gives a person pleasure and makes him actively pursue his time. Equally important are regular preventive medical examinations, which many people underestimate. And the last rule, build a close relationship within the family and outside it. This may be your neighbors or friends. The main thing, avoid loneliness in old age.
Russian scientists have made their conclusions. Our program continues to search for healthy longevity recipes. The next waypoint will be another amazing island of centenarians, Greek Icaria, located in the Aegean Sea.